No audio. It's okay. Bom dia, Senor Christian.
Hey, you're not listening to Mourinho? What are you saying?
Guys, we had a special Mourinho, his little feature here on his rap video. We had it prepped for you guys. The audio is not here, but you can see Mourinho here giving his shh. He's better sometimes. I say nothing. Good morning, guys.
We got it now. There we go. We can always rely on Sneradão to make it happen.
What a way to start today. Tudo Tuga, the Everything Portuguese Soccer Podcast. I'm Mitch Freire.
Christian Ferrer, we got a Nata here, a little pregame. I love it.
Today's a special edition, guys. We are doing a special pregame to the Portugal República Checa for the Nations League. This has been a very, very tumultuous week for the Seleção. Agreed?
So much going on, man.
Me and Christian have been chomping at the bit to get back on the mics and talk to you guys about what the fuck is going on with the Seleção das Quinas, man.
Yeah.
A lot to cover today, guys. We're going to be with you just about right up until Portugal kicks off with Czech Republic today. It'll be a good game, but there's a whole lot that we need to cover and we need to talk about prior to kickoff. So, a little bit of a different format today. We'll go through the Capas do Dia, but then we're going to jump right into the Tuga topics, which is going to be all about the Seleção today. We're not touching anything on Liga Portugal today. It's all about the Seleção das Quinas today. So a lot to go through, guys, and we'll jump right into it.
So let's grab a beer. That's what we're doing. And enjoy the show.
Actually, I kind of did it backwards. I had a cervejinha, now I switched to cafe. So if I gotta bust out of here with a macagabumbas here halfway through the podcast, I apologize,
okay,
man. My instincts might not be ready for that.
It's all good, buddy. We'll do our best here.
All right, guys, jumping right into it. Capa do dia for A Bola. All right, so A Bola, a história do menino Tonito, talking about António Silva. Of course, the 18-year-old center back has been on just about everybody's lips since his great performances to start the year for Benfica. So
the propaganda is starting. Look at this one. There we go. 6 games in. There we go.
Fucking Azia over here. Fool this. Did you bring your fucking Rennie or what?
I got my cerveja. It's a little better.
Okay. So obviously A Bola doing a special on António Silva. Nice to see, giving a shout out to his start, and obviously A Bola having a nice special on him. And then, of course, the big news in the corner there, but what we're going to be talking a lot about today, Fernando Santos, in his conferência de imprensa, saying Rafa só me comunicou pedido de dispensa do estágio. Basically, if you guys didn't understand that, Fernando Santos saying that Rafa only communicated to him that he was not going to be able to be part of the Seleção for these 2 games, which, again, we'll get into a little bit later, a little bit different from the story that Rafa put out there. So there's your Capa do Dia for A Bola. Jumping over to Record. Oof, this one might hit you, Christian. Por was injured in a training match with Sporting. Another injury. Sporting coming off of how was it? Coates, Saint Just, Neto. Yikes. Not very good. And then talking a little bit about Verón with Porto, ganha pontos. Obviously in their international break, he's doing well. Good little young Brazilian player that was brought on. And Vlaco Dimos for Benfica, trabalha mínimos, probably because he's a little bit injured and kind of taking it easy during the international break. So that's your Record Capa. And then jumping over to O Jogo. This one's good. Engenharia de Minas. Engineering the mines, man. It was a bit of a minefield, that conferência de imprensa for Fernando Santos. He was dodging a lot of questions, a lot of speculation, a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today. were talked about. A lot of questions posed to Fernando Santos during the conference de imprensa. So we will see what comes out of all of this. A lot of polemica to get into. So that's your main capa do dia for o jogo. So jumping right into our Tuga topics. We're going to be talking about the gala that took place this week, as Quinas de Ouro 2022. So the FPF honoring a whole bunch of not only athletes, clubs, national teams at different levels. It was nice to see some old faces come together. It looked like a good event. So we'll cover a little bit about that. We'll jump into the Rafa scandal, or as Sr. Adão loves to call, Raffles with Rafa.
Sr. Adão, you're a legend, buddy. You're a legend.
We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about Pep also being dispensado by Santos. What happened? Why didn't anybody get called in his place? We'll jump into that. We'll talk a little bit about Fernando Santos and his press conference and what he had to say in response to a lot of these things. And of course, we're going to have a couple of guests on today. Fellow Benfiquistas, Richie Freire and Daniel Fernandes are going to be joining us to chime in and give us their thoughts on some of the shit going on that we're going to be talking about. And then, of course, we're going to cap off the day with, our predictions for the Portugal-Czech game and get you guys prepped for that. So jam-packed show today, guys. We're excited to come to you guys live pregame. So let's go. Let's get it going. Quinas de Ouro. Again, it was the gala put on by the FPF this week to honor, again, not only athletes, but clubs and different national teams. And of course, one of the groups that took center stage was Group Futsal. We know our futsal team internationally has been killing it. World Cup win, Euro win, and of course last week the Finalissima that they won, and that's all led by Jorge Braz, of course, Edmonton born from Suni, the same town as Sr. Adão is from. You've actually got some family ties to Jorge
some
Braz.
Good genetics,
so very
man.
Cool, man. Very, very cool to have that.
Spread the seed, buddy.
He took center stage, gave a really, really great acceptance speech. And of course, the futsal team was one of the guys or one of the groups that was really in the highlight of the gala. And of course, aside from the 100 years that the Seleção Nacional is celebrating, aside from the futsal team being recognized for their Euro, World Cup, and the Finalissima win, the beach soccer team was also recognized. Magyar was recognized. Ricardinho from the futsal team was recognized. And of course, our one and only GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's have a look at what he had to say in his acceptance speech. There you go. So Cristiano Ronaldo obviously saying, hey, you're going to have to put up with me for the next little while, talking about how he fully expects to be at the Euro. What do you think about Rafael Leão's expression there?
Oh, buddy, I think he has the same expression you had. That's the face I always see you make every time we talk about Ronaldo. Not too impressed. I think Rafael Leão has to worry about two things. One, paying Sporting for what he fucking owes us, first of all. Second, getting into the starting lineup, which I think he will today, but we'll go into that a little bit later.
Tá bem. Aside from that, also the gala recognized 3 coaches from abroad. Abel Freire, who's doing great things in Palmeiras. We talk a lot about him. Jose Mourinho, obviously, with his Conference League win last year with Roma. And then one of your favorite coaches from Sporting, Leonardo Jardim.
I actually do like him.
I know you do. So those 3 coaches were also honored with awards. So good to see a lot of the athletes, and of course we saw some old names there. Ricardo Quaresma was there. The entire 2016 squad was honored, so it was cool to see some of the old guard there.
I wanted to mention one thing. You're talking about Magier, Ricardinho, and Ronaldo. At one point, I don't know if you guys knew this, they were all the best players in the world in their respective divisions. We had the best beach soccer player in the world, we had the best futsal player in the world, and we had the best regular soccer player in the world, which was really cool. Huge achievement for Portugal.
For a country this small, we do not bad when it comes to bola, man.
Yeah.
We might know a thing or two. What's that? U21. Also, guys, we are following the U21s, Portugal versus Georgia. That's going on right now. It is 2-0 in the 50th minute. Paulo Bernardo, Benfiquista, getting the first goal for Portugal. And I can't remember who got the second one, but it is 2-0. We'll continue to keep you guys posted as we get updates from that one. All right, guys. I would call this o tema do dia, the topic of the day, Rafa. So a lot of us woke up Wednesday morning to news that Rafa, after being called up to the Seleção for his very, very good performance in Benfica this year, very deserved of a call-up, he immediately, a day after, gave his notice to Fernando Santos and the Federação that he would not only be not attending the estágio for the 2 games against the Czech Republic and Spain, but he would also be announcing his retirement permanently from the Seleção Nacional. This was a bombshell. Nobody, I think, was expecting this. Rafa was a part of the 2016. I'm not going to say a big part of the 2016 squad because I think he only played a minute in that tournament, but he's been part of the Seleção for a number of years, and this was a big shock. I actually, based on his form, I had said last week on our pod that I actually would have loved to have seen him start against the Czechs today because he's been playing so well. So I just want to quickly jump in and read you guys his communication, and then we'll go from there. So Rafa said, informei hoje o selecionador Fernando Santos e a Federação Portuguesa da minha indisponibilidade para representar a equipa nacional. Julgo tratar-se de uma decisão honesta e acertada neste momento da minha carreira. Peço que as razões de foro pessoal sejam respeitadas por todos. Representei as seleções nacionais em 40 ocasiões, ajudei a conquistar o Euro 2016 e a Liga das Nações e estarei sempre na primeira fila a apoiar a equipa de todos nós. Estou certo de que a seleção nacional continuará a dar alegrias aos portugueses, desde logo na Liga das Nações e no Mundial 2022. So, for those of you who didn't understand that, essentially, he communicated to both Fernando Santos and the Federação that he would not only not be attending the estágio for the 2 games, but he would also stop representing Portugal at the national team level, and that it was an honest and right decision at this point in his career for personal reasons that he asks to be respected by all. He then went on to say that he's represented the Seleção in over 40 times, helping in the Euro 2016 win and the Liga das Nações win, and he would always be in the front line to cheer on Portugal. Christian's thoughts on this?
Man, I'm sure there's a lot of players that feel what Rafa is feeling. There's a lot of rumors saying that he's just upset that he doesn't, get a chance to play a lot of the times. Certain other players always, get the playing time, and when he's playing really good and, killing it for Benfica, he feels like, he's not being used. So what's the point of even going up? I know for a fact there's a lot of other players feeling that way. But in my personal opinion, it's tough because for me, maybe it's easy to say because I'm not a professional soccer player, but representing your country, I don't care if I'm on the bench. I don't care if I'm the ball boy. I don't care if I clean their shitty cuecas. I'm just happy to be part of the national team. You know what I mean? So it's bittersweet. Like, I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, it is the national team. So
do you think it was a selfish decision on his part?
I do. I think anytime you leave a national team for personal reasons of not getting played and stuff, I mean, I don't know how that cannot be selfish. But I mean, at the same time, I do get it. I do get that frustration. But yeah, it is selfish.
So just to add some context to what Christian was saying in terms of not being utilized, I just want to give you guys some stats. You guys know I love my stats on how many times Rafa has actually been called up and how much he's played. So Rafa has actually been called up to the Seleção 47 times. He started 8 of the 47. He was substituted in 17 of the 47, on the bench, not utilized for 22 of those 47. So officially 25 appearances, 4 assists, and 782 minutes in essentially 8 years since the first time he was actually called up, which was in 2014.
Yeah.
I think based on the quality of Rafa, that is abysmally low utilization of a player of his caliber and what he can bring to a team. You know,
I wish you had those same stats for William Carvalho. I'm sure it's 186 games and 187 appearances. With 1 assist and 2 goals.
So before I go into whether or not I agree with this decision from Rafa, I'm going to give you guys my theory on this. Last year, Rafa chimed in with 8 goals and 15 assists for Benfica in the Liga. Not the best year he's ever had, but still a very good year. Considering Benfica's form, he was playing well for Benfica. He was one of the bright spots in the squad. Prior to March, March 17th of this year, Fernando Santos announced his convocatoria for the game, the playoff games coming up against Turkey and then either Italy or Macedonia. Fernando Santos did not call Rafa up on March the 17th. Okay, he opted to go with players like Otávio, who arguably could have been a replacement for Rafa. Otávio had 3 goals and about 4 assists for Porto last year. Okay. Arguably Rafa in better form than Otávio. And then, Sr. Adão, if you can pull this up, this was 3 days after the convocatoria came out in March.
It's a nice run, man.
I want you guys to notice here, Rafa refuses to celebrate. Everyone, of course, and he just refused to celebrate altogether. I personally think at this point in time, Rafa had already made the decision that the next time he got called up to the Seleção, he was going to give his retirement notice. I think he was so offended that playing at the level that he was in 2 such decisive games for Portugal to take them into the World Cup that, in all honesty, Fernando Santos chose to go with estrangeiro, Otávio, and this is no, thing against the estrangeiros in the Seleção. I don't mind, especially if they've spent significant time in Portugal, but putting myself in Rafa's position, playing as well as he was for Benfica at the time, being overlooked for estrangeiro, I'd be a little ass hurt too.
You know what? Before I give my 2 cents, I gotta say that's some great investigating journalism by Mitch. The way he fucking pulled it out. He up like till 2 a.m. finding that video. Man.
Nice, man.
Shout out to Mitch, man, putting in the work. Yeah, I get it. And then That being said, I'm sure there's a lot of other players that feel the exact same way. That's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, I get his decision, but it is a little bit selfish. But I do see it.
I see it too. Quaresma mentioned at the gala that when asked about Rafa, he also mentioned that he revejo in Rafa, basically saying, I see myself a lot in Rafa and his situation. And he relates a lot to Rafa and what he's going through, because I think Quaresma went through a lot of that same stuff when he was in great form with Port. Paulo Bento was never giving him the time of day. He was never getting called up to the Seleção. So me personally, I agree with you. I totally understand where Rafa's coming from. But for me, when it comes to the Seleção, man, everything else, you got to put that shit aside, and you have to be willing and ready to put that shirt on and help in any way, shape, or form. We're not talking about a Seleção with mediocre to average players. There is a lot of very high quality competition,
especially in his position.
So I agree he should be utilized more, but to that same point, there's a lot, and I mean a lot of competition for that role. So, man, I think you got to accept that. You got to understand that. And of course, as a player, you're always going to think you're the best and you should be starting. It's any athlete, any high performance athlete's going to think like that. But to me, when it comes to the Seleção, man, you should just be honored to be there. And that's my thoughts on it.
What do you think if we get a third and fourth opinion from your
I would love it, man. We've got Richie Freire and Daniel Fernandes waiting on standby to give us their thoughts on this. Boys, thank you for joining us. If you can tell there, Richie Freire is at work right now, and hopefully your patron isn't watching this. No levas nas lunas, but
I gotta say, Rich, out of all of us here, is the smartest because he's actually getting paid to do this. So shout out to Richie, man. And thanks for the scenic background. It's beautiful.
Not bad, boys. Hey, boys.
Not bad.
Well, Richie, since you might have to get back on the clock here right away, why don't you start off and give us your thoughts on this whole Rafa scandal?
Well, I think he did the right thing. Anyone who feels underutilized, I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? They're going to feel blackballed or whatever he felt like. And, he hasn't been called up or hasn't played a game for Portugal in over a year. So I understand his perspective. You guys touched on all the points already. We all understand his perspective. Portugal obviously comes first, but maybe he feels he's better than some of the guys there, right? He's a special winger, right? Like he plays in the interior a lot. Through the lines, he can play on the counter. Obviously, he's a speedster. And Fernando's stuck in his old ways, man. So I feel for Rafa, but obviously Portugal comes first. He should stay, but this is his decision. That's what happens. It happens in life. We can all relate that. We have to put ourselves in his shoes, right? Because we're just fans, right? Exactly like you touched on. So I feel for him. Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. But you guys touched on all the points that I was going to say. I mean, I've kind of let this spin in my head for the last few days. I know we've talked about it in our chat on the side, but I agree. At the end of the day, I'm not a professional soccer player. We're all fans here. So as you touched on, Richie, I think at the end of the day, you have to look at what you think is best for you and your family and all that. But at the end of the day, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. But as you guys said, when it comes to an Seleção, like I don't know, we can all of us. I know we would say I'd sit there and pour the water for them. Like I don't care. Like to me, quando estás ao serviço do nosso país, it's like it's that emotion that takes over you. So like part of me understands. I do hope maybe Rafa changes his mind, whether it's between now and then the World Cup, or maybe after the World Cup, and maybe a couple of more tears and Fernando Santos is gone, and we get another more creative manager in there. But hopefully it changes his mind. But I think Mitch and Christian, you guys hit the point there where I just think it's unfortunate that, like, I get it, he's not getting enough minutes, and he's a very unique player, like Rich said, like especially his speed. Like at the end of the day, we've got a lot of talent, but sometimes speed, like you can't coach that or teach that. A player has it, right? So I hope he changed his mind, but at the end of the day, I think we can all agree on one thing. When it comes to nossa seleção, it's just shut up if you can bunk and you help in any way you can, man. I don't know.
For sure. And for me, I think Rafa he's in the best form of his whole life right now. His whole career. It's not like he's retiring from the national team, with playing mediocre, or he's a little bit older now. But no, man, he's in peak form. If anything, right now, today, he can solidify himself as a starter, I know, in my opinion. So it's definitely a weird time, and I do agree with everything you guys said.
So if you guys wouldn't mind sticking around, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this next topic. So moving on to the next fucking escândalo. Gonçalo Ramos was called up to replace what we thought, or who we thought, was Rafa. In Fernando Santos' conference de imprensa yesterday, he let us know that Gonçalo Ramos actually wasn't called up to replace Rafa. He was called up to replace João Felix, who he knew already wasn't going to be in form for the Czech Republic game. And Fernando Santos said, I think it was pretty clear that Ramos wasn't Rafa's replacement, because had I been looking to replace Rafa, I would have brought somebody with more of Rafa's characteristics to the team. Then we found out that Pep got let go and was sent home. We talked about it here on the pod, that we were a little bit confused as to why he was even called up to begin with, because he already didn't play the last game for Porto against Estoril. So we were a little bit confused as to why he was called up. But then no replacement was called up. Some rumors, and I'm going to just say this rumors because there's been commentators on Sport TV that have actually been fired from Sport TV for even talking about this. There was rumors that he got sent home to avoid the anti-doping commission that was coming in. Again, those are rumors. I don't know if I believe that, but
I believe it, man. Have you seen Pep?
Before we jump into it, let's get our guests' thoughts on
the
this.
Juice, bro.
Daninhas, what do you think about this? You're speechless, man.
So sorry about that, boys. I was on mute. Again, it's another topic that's happened over the last few days. Mitch, as you said, you kind of wake up to it and you're like, what's going on? So you let it spin in your mind a little bit, and it's like, honestly, in Usaimeo, I mean, I think I sent it in our group chat. There's one of the, I think it was Record, or maybe it was o Jogo, that had Pep training back no Olival, no Porto, where they do their training. So it's like, I get like he's probably doing light training, like just a little bit of jogging, right? So, but it's like, okay, is it true? Was he just trying to avoid the anti-doping? And or I don't know, like there's some agreement going on. I don't know. I just think it goes back to the whole. To me, there's only one player, and I mean, you guys know I'm a Benfiquista person, but there's only one player to replace Pep, and that's Gonçalo Inácio. Why he's not on this national team, we could probably spend the next 4 hours talking about it. Nobody knows. I guess you could justify his select. I mean, again, Benfiquista. I'm glad that Gonçalo Ramos is on the Seleção Nacional, but again, okay, so that's his justification, is that he didn't know what was going on with Rafa. He kind of knew Felix might be available for Spain. So he might not be available for Czech Republic, or he's in form. So he had Ramos in the back of his mind, and then I guess he got from what I took him, he kind of got the shock from Rafa, so he didn't have the replacement for him, where he could have went, I don't know, a Pot or a Trincão or whatnot. I don't know, but again, we could sit there for the next 3 hours and talk about his selection. At the end of the day, Eleus Lessino, he knows better than we do. Even going back to the Paul Bent era, right? We can bitch and complain, and they select the players that they feel for whatever system they play. But I don't know. It's just, to me, it goes back. I think you always have to pick the best available players for the national team that are on the best form, whether they're Portuguese or Strangers. Mitch, you hit a good point there, where back in the playoffs, he selected Otávio for Rafa. Yeah, I kind of scratched my head. I'm like, Rafa's been in a shitty Benfica season. Rafa's been our best player apart from Darwin, right? And Portuguese havia estado na seleção at that time. You can also argue Otávio is one of our better players in the playoffs, especially in that first game against Turkey. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the best players need to be called, but Fernando Santos knows us better. I think Inácio should be in there, and I personally think Pedro Gonçalves could be in there. As much as I love Gonçalo Ramos, pode fazer o papel do Rafa, também pode fazer papel false nine, could be like a striker in there. I don't know. I just think, again, not trying to kiss Christians, but they're Sportingistas. But like, again, going back even to the Euro, correct me if I'm wrong, was not Pot the best Portuguese scorer in the league. The guy didn't even sniff the field for Niu school. I don't know. Richie, what's your take, buddy? I know you're pretty vocal on this as well.
Well, it sounds like they want to save money on some airplane tickets. I'm not sure why these guys aren't being called, right? It's strange, man. It's very strange. But at the end of the day, he's the one that makes the choices, man. You know, Gonçalo Ramos, man, he's been pivotal this year. Terrific player, right? Hasn't had a cap yet. He deserves it. Gonçalo Inácio, you know, Pot, these guys obviously deserve it as well. Antonio Silva, he's going to make a case for it. He's still too young, though, right? He doesn't have enough games under his belt, right? But these are the guys that we discuss and debate that they need to be in the squad, right? They have such great qualities, man, and can adapt to different formations and styles. But, you know, Fernando, he's got his one style, and that's it. He's very rigid. He's an old man, right? He's not progressive. He's old school. He's traditional. This is what we're going to get. The only bright side in all this is that it's coming out now, you know, a few months before the big show. So that's the only thing where at least it's coming out now and not a fucking week before, because then we got real problems. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, shout out to Jeff Esteves. I'm surrounded by Bifikishas. We got 3 over here, so it's nice to have a Sportingista tune in. Thank you so much. Since you guys brought up Inácio, I seen this stat the other day. I mean, we don't base the player on one performance, but versus Tottenham, he had 99 touches, the most in the whole game. He had 90% pass accuracy. Sorry, the beer's hitting me. 77 passes completed, the most in the game. 4 long balls, 4 clearances, 4 ground duels, 2 tackles won, 2 shots blocked, 2 interceptions. He was the best defenseman in that entire game. And against the game,
I hear you. What were his stats versus Boavista, though? Probably not so good.
To be honest, he played good against Boavista. He played. It's this Gayu, the Boavista super sub that let us up. But anyways, let's not derail this conversation.
But Christian, sorry to interrupt you, but regardless of what it's like, I mean, that's funny for Richie, but regardless of what it is, Gonçalo Inácio, seja o Fernando Santos, nosso treinador, seja o Christian, seja o Mitch, seja eu, Richie, it doesn't matter who is listening. Gonçalo Inácio é o futuro da seleção. I think the guy, as Richie said, these guys need to be in there. I don't care if you're on the bench. You 100%. Need to be in there. And don't get me wrong, I understand Fernando Santos or whoever the seleção that is. It's like you're kind of looking after yourself in the moment. Whatever you build in your mind can get you that win today or the trophy today. Like, I get that, but like, come on, man. Like, these guys are our future. They need to be a part of the national team. Again, if you're allowed to bring 30 guys, bring 30 guys. I think you guys in the summer or last summer were touching base on this. Like, Mancini has no qualms calling 35 guys. And then whatever the deadline is that he has to reduce it before the games, he'll cut them. Yeah. Right? Like I don't understand.
Invest in the future, man.
So I wanna touch a little bit on Fernando Santos and why I think maybe he needs to book up an appointment with Sr. Dr. Varandas to get his head examined, because I just want to jump into his logic here for a second. So see if you guys can follow me here. So Rafael Guerreiro goes down with an injury, okay? And Fernando Santos calls Mário Rui to replace him, okay? So vou escrever isso so that I get my thoughts down, because this is going through my head. So for a left back, we've now got Mendes, okay? We've got Thiago Diallo, and I'm going to say Thiago Diallo because last year and in the last 15 to 20 games for Lille, he's played more as a left back than he has as a center back or a right back for Lille. So Thiago Diallo is an option at left back, and I'm also going to say João Cancelo is also an option at left back. Okay? Then you've got Mário Rui. So you've now got 4 guys that can slot in at left back. Certo or no?
Yes.
You've got 4 options for one position. Okay. At right back, he's got Cancelo. He's got Thiago Diallo because he said that's why he called him. And he's got Diogo Dalot. So he's got 3 potential covers for 1 position. Okay? Agora, vamos aos centrais. Center backs, he's got Dias, who is, let me remind you guys, the only pure central. And you've got Danilo, who's makeshift. And you've got Diallo, who's makeshift. So you've got 3 guys that can potentially cover for 2 positions, and he's got 4 guys to cover at left back and 3 guys to cover at right back. In his press conference yesterday, his reason was, I'm not going to call central para sentar-se no banco. Opa, não vai chamar o caralho de central porque vão sentar no banco, mas foste chamar o caralho do Mário Rui para cobrir o lateral esquerdo. Mas estamos aqui a brincar ou quê?
Sinceramente.
And
Also, Mitch,
Mitch,
don't look at your phone.
So Pep's not playing, right? Pep's not playing, right? Doping or not, whatever the fuck it is, okay? Cancelo's not playing, right? Okay? So we have Thiago Jaló taking over 2 positions. He's going to
3, man.
Well, 3.
He can play left back,
but I'm saying,
center back, right back.
But he's directly going to be the backup for 2 positions. The central. If somebody goes down, he goes in, right? Thiago Jaló.
Yeah.
If Dalot goes in or gets injured, he's going to cover right back. So we have 1 player being a backup for 2 positions.
Christian,
Why not call another?
I'm telling you right now, if in the Spain game, João Cancelo is playing and at right back and Nuno Mendes is playing at left back, Danny and Richie, you guys tell me if you agree with this or not. If João Cancelo is playing at right back and Nuno Mendes is playing at left back and something happens to Nuno Mendes, I'm moving João Cancelo to left back and I'm bringing on Diogo Dalot to right back. É ou não é?
100%.
100%.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Portanto, why the fuck does he call Mário Rui? Why do you justify calling Mário Rui and then you don't call another central? Like, this would be the perfect opportunity for Gonçalo Inácio and Ruben Dias to get some playing time together.
100%. Which is means you can invest in the future.
Opa. So either ele está a começar a ficar good, like he's either losing his fucking mind or he's an idiot. Because or and
both.
this is where my conspiracy mind comes in, or this was a very clear statement by Fernando Santos and the Seleção to Sporting. Again, going back to the bullshit going on with Varandas and Pinto Costa, because not only was no Sporting player called to the Seleção Nacional when both Pot and Gonçalo Inácio should have been there. Pot should have been called to replace Rafa, and Gonçalo Inácio should have been called to replace Pep. Those are logical decisions. So for me, when logic and common sense go out the window, I go to a conspiracy. Porque não podes dizer que isto não faz sentido. It makes all the sense in the world. And when it's not done, you got to start thinking, what the hell's going on?
Okay, let's go to Richie because he's on the clock, and then I can see his face. He's, his boss might be driving by here pretty soon. So let's go to Richie. What do you think?
Don't worry about the boss, man. I'll take care of him. Anyways, hey, man.
Who's your boss? I'm gonna share him this link right now. Right?
Don't worry about it. Nobody. I don't know what to say, man. It's speculation, Mitch. I agree with what you're saying. It's a shame. It's a shame that you got this old guy not bringing in the young guys and guys who deserve to be there, and start bringing them in with the rest of the core. Right? They need to get minutes. They need to get experience. These are great games for that. That's what the Nation League's all about, right? Danny, what do you think?
No, agreed. I mean, Mitch, I think it was the last podcast you guys had, or maybe the one before, where you said, "O guys tem hoje na cara, meu." Like, you look at João Cancelo, you could argue that João Cancelo pode ser o melhor jogador lateral esquerdo or lateral direito. He could be the best in the world at the left back or right back. So I agree with you. If in today's game he starts with both Menz and Cancelo, and Menz goes down, as a coach, a fan or not, as a coach, it just makes logic sense to flip Cancelo to the left and bring on Diogo Dalot to fill in the right back. So I don't know. I agree with you. You look at all these facts, and I'm like you. I like looking at stats of players in any sport, especially soccer. Just even that, like, you base it on your eyes of a player, you base it on stats. when you look at it, and these guys don't get called up, especially to be replacements. If they're not on the initial 26 to be replacements, yeah, I guess given our country and of politikas and all that stuff, you start looking at conspiracy theories. With you start putting two and two together, I guess it makes sense. I don't know, but
so Rich, we got a little comment for you, Rich. Look at this. Don't worry about being on the clock, Richie. Nothing. A couple of drinks won't stop the ball.
Não.
O cheirinho e cigarro, meu.
Isso é para os bag liquors, pá. Eu não sou bag liquor. Fuck that shit, man. No. Listen, the only thing about Cancelo and the Seleção playing on the left side is he's a right footer, right? I personally don't like
True.
when a guy's on one side and his strong foot is the opposite. But he's a special player, man. He's one of the best in the world. That guy can play midfield. He can play false forward, interior, wherever he wants, man. That guy's one of the most versatile players in the game, right?
But, he is.
So, guys, breaking news. I'm just going to go to some breaking news quickly. The lineups for the game have been released.
I was about to say, don't check your phone. Don't check your phone.
So, starting in net is Diogo Costa. Lateral esquerdo, Mário Rui. Daniel Pereira and Ruben Dias in the middle, Diogo Dalot on the right, William Carvalho and Ruben Neves in the camp, Rafael Leão, Bruno Fernandes, and Bernardo Silva, and then Cristiano Ronaldo up front. So a 4-2-3-1 is what Fernando Sanchez going in with against the Czech Republic.
Mário Rui just got called up. He wasn't even part of the base call-ups. He entered because of an injury, and he fucking... Okay, anyways. You guys go. I need to breathe. If I didn't eat my show, not there right now, I'd eat that one already. Fuck, man. Jesus Christ. You know what?
How does William get in the team? How is Mateus Nunes not in there? How is Ruben Neves not in there? Wow.
Ruben Neves is in there.
Neves he's in there? Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
sorry. Okay,
no. Ruben Neves is in there. It looks like they're going with, and Mitch and Christian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like Umay Gump is going to be William, Bruno, and Ruben Neves.
Oh, they're going with a 4-2-3-1, Daninius. So William.
Yeah, sorry. Are in front of the D. Yeah.
Leão, Fernando Silva, and then Ronaldo.
Danilo and William started.
How does Palhinha not get in this team?
So again, essentially, I understand Ruben Neves is obviously he's not Danilo, but essentially has got a 4-2-3-1. I mean, I personally like that formation. I use it in FIFA all the time. But a jogar com dois strings contra a República Checa.
So aside from the fact that we're all disappointed with this starting 11, can I just go to a comment, a statement that was made by Fernando Sanchez about a year ago? Senhor Adão, can you pull up the comment of Fernando Sanchez regarding Danilo CB? Yeah. Let's all read this together. Fernando Sanchez said, Danilo Central, ? Tenho enorme respeito pelo Tuchel, mas para mim é médio.
Meu Deus.
This was a fucking direct statement from Fernando Sanchez about a year ago.
It's a Portuguese Joe Biden, man. What are you gonna do? This is lost, man.
But it even everybody has their own opinion on Jose Mourinho, but even Jose Mourinho when it was the Euro and he was talking for Talk Sports in England, he was doing their Euro coverage. He was even baffled. Like he's never said, at least publicly, he's never said one bad thing about Fernando Sanchez. I mean, obviously he's not going to stir the pot, but he was even questioned like why we only called tres centrais for the Euro, and Danilo being one of them. Or sorry, I may be mistaken. Maybe we called three, and Danilo can fill in the other one. But I don't have it off the top of my head. But like, come on, like again, a guy that's one of the more respected coaches in the world. Again, whatever your opinion on it, he's even like pointing that out. Like you're tres for a big tournament. And then you show that Mitch, right? He makes that comment that he's only good as a midfielder, but he like how many games now in a row even has he played? Has he been our partner with Ruben Diaz in the central of defense? I don't know, dude. I think this Chardonnay Cafe needs to be more aguardiente than it needs to be cafe.
You know what bothers me? The Sporting on paper, Portugal on paper, still even with their third string forcing Danilo in the back, whatever goalies in there, we're still most likely going to win. So nobody's really going to question this at the end of the day. Like, well, the game, right? We're questioning it now. The game will happen. We'll most likely win, maybe 1-0, and then people will forget about it. But when in reality, this is definitely not the best team. There is so much more to give. Why the fuck is William and Danilo both on the fucking field right now? Danilo, I get, but like this baffles my fucking mind.
It's not even Danilo. I don't get. Gonçalo Inácio and Ruben Dias should be playing together for this game.
Whatever. What
Ponto. O gajo está
fudido.
Fuma droga, meu. Ele não fuma tabaco, ele fuma droga. Sem dúvida nenhuma. Like, it's the only logical answer.
Can you show your lineups?
You can show our lineups. I mean, we can show the lineups that we would have put in. Yeah.
That should have been played. So, want to show Mitch's first? Which is right there. Okay, this is what Mitch thinks that we should be playing here.
This is my lineup. I would have gone Jessa, Net, Nuno Mendes, Dias, Danilo, Dalot. I would have gone Neves and Vitinha no meio campo, Leão, Bernardo Silva, Jota, and Cristiano Ronaldo up front.
That's a great team. Richie's. This is Richie's team.
Good team.
So yeah, he has Mendes, Dias, Danilo, Dalot, Neves as a CDM, box to box Mateus Nunes, Bruno, Cam, left wing Leão, Ronaldo, and Bernardo Silva. Great team. Beautiful team.
Good
then we got mine. It's ironic because we didn't share our lineups before, but me and Danny, we picked the exact same team, so I might as well just share. So we got Danilo, Diaz, Mendes, Dalot, Palhinha, CD. Man, the way this Palhinha is playing in Fulham, there was a stat in Europe. He has the most recovered balls in Europe in terms of CDM. He's as of today, we're talking about the best current player in that position for Portugal. It's Palhinha. So I agree with him, Palhinha. And then since he's such a good ball winner in the midfield, it frees up space for Bernardo and Bruno, which Bernardo is deadly in the midfield. And then same front three, exactly. Ronaldo, Leão. So these honestly, all of our teams is 10 times better than what we're going to be looking at today,
so we've got 4 minds here. Can anybody give? And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm legit. Can anyone here give me a logical reason why they think that Fernando Santos opts to go with William Numaikamp? Anyone?
I'm speechless. I'll let you guys go.
No, he must have a photo of him naked or something, man. I'm not sure, man. He doesn't deserve to be there, man. Honestly, he doesn't have the right pedigree in my mind. He's slow. He doesn't offer a lot. There's better players in that position that can move the ball. Palhinha especially, man. The guy in big games, big CDM, he's the guy we're going to need. If we played France today, he'd be starting, I bet. But instead, we're going to probably control the game. We're going to be more possession-based. He doesn't need to be there.
Agreed.
So that's just my thoughts. What do you think, Danny?
No, agreed. Again, just going back to Christian's point, just because of our lineups are identical, like I agree with you. I think we're going to be controlling more possession in the game, and talvez Ruben Neves e Mateus Nunes would be a better make-up. But that was my thinking, just as Christian said. Coutinho kind of shielding the defense to that mais liberdade do Bruno e o Bernardo, right? But again, I don't know. I used to like William. I used to be a William fan when he was younger and he was coming along and stuff. But it goes back to the point you guys say over and over again. We just have so much more talent in the midfield now that's more effective and in better form for their own club teams that I just like at the end of the day, whatever he has in him, he wants to call him to the national team, fine, call him, but he doesn't need to start, in my personal opinion. But again, to answer your question, Mitch, I don't know. I could again sit here probably for the next few hours and scratch my head, and we could probably not come up with a logical answer to your question as to why he's on the team and why he continues to start.
Well, vid. Maybe he'll make us all eat our words and just fucking like
Well, hope
today.
so. Hope so.
So Portugal versus Czech, a little preview, guys. The Czechs currently sit third in our group with 4 points. Their last 5 games, they're sitting with 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. Christian, what do the Czechs pose as a big threat today for Portugal?
Oh, Patrick Schick, man. That guy's, I don't know if you guys remember him last Euro. He was one of the top goal scorers. He's just behind Ronaldo. Crazy tournament. The Czechs, I don't know if you guys knew this, they beat the Swiss, and we lost the Swiss last game. So, I mean, they are going to be a dangerous team. It's not a pushover. We did beat them 2-0 the first game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is a Czech team that you don't know what you're going to get. Much like the Swiss. Swiss can lose to anybody. And as you can see, they beat teams like us and France. And so Czech Republic is not going to be an easy game. That's what I'm foreseeing. But, yeah, player to watch, definitely Patrick Schick.
Boys, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's the main threat. He's the main threat for sure. I don't see a lot happening from the Czechs, though, today. We're going to dominate possession 70-30 maybe. If we play right, 70-30, they're in big trouble today. Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, agreed. I expect us to dominate. Well, I'm going to retract that. I expect us to dominate possession, but are we going to see one of those stupid games that we started to lose last year where we are expecting to dominate Serbia, we score an early goal, and then ficamos recuados para trás? And the only real threat is Schick, but we've seen it in Fernando San's team that could happen. We get an early goal, but I fully expect us to. I still expect us to control the game from a possession standpoint. Yeah, 70-30, 60-40, and hopefully with our clinical finishes up front, this game is resolved early. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Mario Rui is starting at left back today.
Like you said earlier, why not slot Cancelo on the left, Dello on the right?
Cancelo can't play today.
Cancelo has the yellow.
I'm so.
But how does Mario Rui
start over Mensch?
Yeah. Well, one of the Sumo 85, he's been watching our podcast a lot. He chimed in and said Nuno Mendes has on one yellow away from missing the Spain game. Maybe that's what he was thinking.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Good point. It's just Nations League, man. Let the boys play, man. Let it go, right? Like, come on. What do we play loose, man? Play to win.
Hey, Rich,
what are we playing tight for? Why are we playing tight? 100%.
Listen, man. What do you mean it's just Nations League? We play soccer tennis together. That shit gets intense, man. And that's for fuck all. We're drinking beers. It doesn't matter. We're here to win. We're here to win, man.
The pressure isn't there like, say, that Serbia game that Danny was talking about, right? This is a good match to tinker and just play attacking, flowing football, control, dominate, let them know, we mean business.
100%.
100%, man.
So wait, one thing before we move on. I want score predictions and who's going to score for us and what the scores would be.
Guys? Richie, go ahead. You go first.
Well, I'm going to go 3-0. 3-0, controller down, Ronaldo with a brace, back to old form. Watch out.
I'm liking it. I like it. I'm liking it.
Daninius?
I'll go 3-1. Schick gets the goal for Czech Republic, and then Ronaldo, Leon, and Ruben scores one off a corner or something.
I think it's gonna be 2-0. We're gonna score second half around 60th minute. Once they open up late in the game, we'll get a late goal in like 88th minute. I think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be Ronaldo, and let me think. It's gonna be misleading. William Carvalho with the shitty. Hits 3 guys, hits him in the face, bounces off his knee, and he taps it in.
I'm going to be the wet blanket in the room. I'm going to say Portugal squeaks out a tie. I think all of this shit going on is creating a lot of bullshit in the locker room. I think there's a lot of players who are thinking, what the fuck is going on with the Seleção right now? I mean, we're here, we're fans. These guys estão muito mais ligados, and I could only imagine the shit being talked about behind closed doors. I think there's definitely a little bit of an old boys club being formed at the Seleção right now with Williams, Danilos, Ronaldo, kind of the old guard. And I think there's a little bit of shit going on that we might see seep onto the field a little bit today, especially with the lineup he's going out with. I think there's a lot of guys, if we're sitting here disagreeing, I think there's a lot of guys on that bench that are gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? And I'll be the wet blanket. I'll say we get a draw.
Wow.
Yeah, sim, meus amigos.
Okay.
Richie, the Ninas, you guys, thank you for joining us. You guys
Thanks
are
for having me.
awesome.
Love having you
Thanks,
guys
boys.
on. Great intel.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for having us. Hey,
Vital
listen,
like
listen. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe button.
no,
Thanks,
the concrete truck is here, man. Go, hurry up.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys, we're just about coming up to the end of our time here. We've got about 45 minutes to kick off, just enough time for us to recharge, grab another cervejinha, relax the nerves, calm Max a little bit before we watch the Seleção. Final thoughts, Christian?
Final thought. I'm being serious. This is not even a joke. This is not even to add. I'm actually like still trying to process this lineup. Like I'm legit. Like sometimes we joke about the Danilo William and all this bullshit, but man, it's legit happening. I can't. We have guys playing for the best teams in Europe. Even the guy like we don't talk about enough is Vitinha. Guys like that. So much fucking talent. Like world class players, and we come up with the lineup of that. All jokes aside, I'm just really taken back right now.
Yeah, the only word that comes to mind, the game hasn't even started. Whether Portugal wins or not,
yeah,
I'm so fucking disappointed in this lineup. And it just signals this old lint mentality from Fernando Santos that we've been talking about for the last 4 to 5 years, man, that we just can't seem to escape. There's no place in this team anymore for William Carvalho. It's super disappointing. I don't know what else to say. We'll see what happens, regardless whether Portugal plays well or not, regardless whether Portugal get the win or not. For me, this is a big red flag going into the World Cup, because if this is how Fernando Santos is already thinking now, this is the last 2 games before World Cup. Man, this is the time where Fernando Santos needs to be solidifying his World Cup lineup. This is where he needs to be trying out the new players, anything new. William Carvalho is not something new.
No. And man, like the way I see it, it's just mediocre work, mediocre coaching. It's just getting by, sneaking results, just barely hanging on. And he's just sort of just straight lining it. There's nothing there. There's no spirit. There's no fire. There's no youthful exuberance. Man, it's just sad. And like I said earlier today, man, I'm going to reemphasize it. We still have a team with our 3rd, 4th string to win today. We could blow up almost any lineup, anybody, and we still have more quality than Czech. So I don't want that to be overlooked. If we do win 2-0, 1-0, we're better than this. We're better than this. And when it comes down to winning a World Cup, where I don't want to just show up. There's been a lot of times where people bring up, oh, well, we made it out of the group. We made it to the quarters. With these kind of teams, the quality that we have, it's to win. I think, man, there's only like 2 or 3 other national teams, max, that have the quality, the depth, in each position, the world-class players that we have. We shouldn't be sneaking in through a playoff. We shouldn't be talking about sneaking in through the group. We shouldn't be content of going to the round of 16 quarterfinals. We should see, like for those of us that understand the game, when we watch Portugal, we should leave that game being like, wow, look at that flair. Look at that energy. Look at that ball movement. We shouldn't be like, man, let's counter them. Let's sneak in a 1-0 win. I mean, I get winning is winning. We all want to win. But I'll reemphasize, we have a team like a Brazil, like a France, where we should come into that game, dominate, show what that Portuguese culture, that skillful exuberance. We should leave that game saying, wow, and be excited. And with lineups like this, personally, I don't see it.
I just want to take a second to run through our bench. Okay. Nuno Mendes, João Palhinha, Mateus Nunes, Vitinha, João Mário, Gonçalo Ramos, Ricardo Horta, Diogo Jota, and Pedro Neto.
Wow. And that's not even everybody, man. But the guys that stayed home.
That's our bench.
Yeah.
So, on that note, guys, again, we're 45 minutes to kick off. We've brought you guys the lineups. We've gone through the week that was in the Seleção. A lot was talked about today. Thank you, everybody who tuned in, who chimed in. Thank you for Richie and Daninas for joining us. Your comments and thoughts are always appreciated. Thank you for all those that commented. And, guys, Força Portugal, mas...
Yeah, I just wanted to say, adding on to what you're saying, we do this for you guys. We do this for the Portuguese community. We do this. We want to give a platform for our friends, and we're so passionate about Portuguese soccer. So the fact that you guys tune in, comment, view our stuff, it means so much to us. We love you guys, and we truly appreciate you guys. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Caralho.
Thanks, guys.